All right, let's jump right into it. If you're involved with hazardous chemicals in Colombia, listen up, because a major new safety regulation just dropped, and you really need to know what's in it. So today, we're going to break it all down for you.
And there it is, Resolution 5492. This is the official document straight from Colombia's Ministry of Labor. And trust me, this isn't just another piece of paper. It's designed to completely reshape industrial safety standards across the country.
Really, it all comes down to two big questions, right? First, what is this thing? And second, maybe the most important question for you, does it even apply to your facility? We're going to answer both.
Okay, so let's tackle that first one. What's at the core of this new mandate? Let's take a look.
What this resolution introduces is something called the SGSPAM. That stands for the Safety Management System for the Prevention of Major Accidents, SGSPAM. Now, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just a friendly suggestion or a list of best practices. Nope, it is a mandatory framework, and its mission is crystal clear. Protect workers, protect the public, and protect the environment from those big, scary chemical accidents.
All right, now for the million-dollar question, the one you're probably asking yourself right now. How do I know if this whole thing applies to me and my operation?
Well, the regulation targets what's called a classified installation. You can basically think of that as a blanket term for pretty much any facility that's handling, using, storing, or processing hazardous chemicals.
But, and this is the key part, what makes you a classified installation? It all comes down to something called the threshold quantity. Think of it like a tripwire. It's a very specific amount of a hazardous substance. The second you have that much or more on site, boom, you're automatically in. You fall under this resolution, no questions asked.
I think this is a really important distinction the law makes. It separates an incident from a major accident. An incident is, well, it's a close call, a near miss. It's that moment where something goes wrong, but your safety systems kick in and you manage to stop it from becoming a full-blown disaster. Phew! A major accident, though? That's the nightmare scenario. That's the big fire, the explosion, the leak that escapes the facility's perimeter and puts people, property, and the environment in serious, immediate danger. And that is exactly what the SGSPAM is built to prevent.
Okay, so if you've determined this applies to you, your next question is probably, what do I have to do? So let's peek inside the SGSPAM framework itself. The whole system is built around this number, 16. There are 16 core elements that make up the SGSPAM. You can think of these 16 points, all laid out in Article 6, as your new compliance roadmap. And let's be clear, this is way more than just a to-do list you can check off. These elements are the very pillars of a proactive safety culture. We're talking about fundamental things, like having a formal prevention policy, doing really deep hazard identification and risk analysis, and, this is a big one, ensuring genuine worker participation. It covers everything, all the way to having solid systems for training, for audits, and for managing any changes to your process.
And holding all 16 of those pillars together is one core idea, a guiding principle.
It's a concept known as the ALRRP principle. ALRP. It stands for as low as reasonably practicable. And what that means is your job isn't just to meet some bare minimum safety standard. No, the goal is to constantly push risk lower and lower, to implement the absolute best practices available to get that risk down to the lowest level you can possibly achieve. It's about continuous improvement, not just compliance.
Now here's a super important point from Article 4 that could trip people up. The SGSPAM does not replace your existing occupational safety and health management system, your SGSST. Don't throw that out. The whole idea is to integrate them. They need to work together to be articulated into one single, seamless, and powerful safety program for your facility.
So how do we make all this actually work in the real world? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe most crucial part of this whole thing, everyone's role in prevention.
You see, this framework isn't just a top-down mandate for managers. Article 11 makes it absolutely clear that workers are on the front lines and are a critical part of this system. It's about taking ownership. Things like following all the safety procedures, of course, knowing exactly what to do in an emergency, but also actively participating in training and drills, and, maybe most importantly, having the responsibility and the empowerment to speak up, to tell your employer when you see a potential hazard that could cause a major accident. And if you want a sign of just how serious this is, just how long-term the thinking is, look at this, 20 years. Article 25 mandates that all your SGSPAM documents and records must be kept for a minimum of 2 decades. That's not just about record keeping, that's about building institutional memory. It's a serious commitment to a lasting safety culture.
So when you put all these pieces together, the big picture really comes into focus, doesn't it?
The ultimate goal here is to build a safety culture that's not just reactive, but robust and proactive, one that lasts. A culture that protects everyone involved, the workers inside the plant, the community living right outside, and the environment that supports us all.
So, with this new resolution now in place, it really leaves every organization out there with one final, big question to ask themselves. Is your organization ready to lead?